jump down, and then say some fucking gay shit. I'm gay.
What up, everybody in the YTBC? This video is not going to be a boxing video, so I'm not really going to give you any shout outs that I normally would. This video is going to be talking about basically Infinity War and the whole MCU as a whole. Actually, a specific topic. Now, I'm just gonna go ahead and get this out of the way. This is just going to, it's not even really a review. Well, I guess I'll review it. I'll just tell you right now, it's a good movie. And I think everybody who is cinematic universe or into superhero movies, or if you just like action comedy, that's the way that I feel. That's my whole review. Not gonna get it. I really don't want to go into any details because you really should see it for yourself. Now, what I will say is that I almost wish I didn't see it. And it's not because it wasn't a good movie. It's that now I'm just like, I need to see the next one. I need to know what happens next. And being that it'll probably be about a year before I'll be able to see how everything gets taken care of, you know, I kind of wish that I would have just waited till the second one came out and just watch them back to back. Because to be honest, if they would have released the next part, you know, the same week, the same day, I would have watched both of them back to back. I would have been willing to pay the money to do it. But, and I'm somebody who doesn't go to the movies that often. I didn't even realize how expensive the movies is a ticket. And I'm paying for me and my girlfriend. So I was like, $40 to see this movie? Like, I was willing to pay it. And it would have been worth the money, but you got to be smart. If you can see the movie for cheaper, then why not? So I actually found tickets as cheap as $6.50 on a Saturday night. I was not too keen on the movie theater itself, so I decided to pay a little bit more. I was able to get tickets for just over $10. Not bad. That's what I'm used to paying. I'm used to paying a little bit more than that, actually. More like $12, $13, $14. But and this movie theater that I went to is really nice. I think the reason why they get away with going as cheap as they do on their tickets is one of these luxury theaters that, you know, they have waiters. They got like this little button on your seat. You press it, a waiter comes over, and you know, you can order your popcorn. They got like real food, and that stuff is pretty pricey. They also serve alcohol, so you know, I know that's becoming more and more of a common thing. But at one time, alcohol was not something you just freely buy in a movie theater. So, but they bring everything to you. There's no concession stand in this movie theater. You have to order everything through a waiter. So, which I think is pretty convenient because, you know, if you need a refill on your drink or anything like that, you don't have to miss out on anything in the movie. You just get your waiter and they'll get you taken care of. But anyways, that's besides the point. What I really want to talk about is what the Fox strikes talked about, which is the political correctness trying to invade the MCU. We're seeing this more and more as time goes by. Basically, somebody I've never heard of But I guess they're involved in the comic book industry or something. But they put out a tweet saying, there's 400 characters in Infinity War, and not one of them is representative of the LGBTQ community. And I just thought that was the most ridiculous thing I've ever heard. Because let's be real, these are comic book characters. These are superheroes. These are fictional characters that don't really represent anybody in the real world. I mean, let's be honest. Do you really need a big green lummox that can't control his anger to represent you? Is that what you need? Do you need somebody who, wields a big hammer that causes thunder and lightning? You need him to represent you. Like, it's ridiculous. You know who else isn't represented in Infinity War? Hispanics. There's not one single Hispanic in the whole movie. But I don't care. And I'm Puerto Rican and Mexican. I really don't care as long as the movie is good. And don't try to tell me Gamora is Hispanic, because no, Zoe Saldana is Hispanic. Gamora, the character she plays, is not. She's of an alien race. So I can't think of a single character in the whole movie of Infinity War who is Hispanic. And it's perfectly fine with me. I don't need to be pandered to. I don't need you to turn Captain America into Captain Puerto Rico, which would be pretty easy because just look at his costume. But I don't need you to do that. And this is really something that is becoming a problem. It's not just a problem because somebody makes complaints like this. It's a problem because in some cases, this is actually being taken seriously. I'll give you a good example. Now, you may make fun of me for this, but I watch a show called Once Upon a Time. It's a show that my girlfriend likes. She got me into it, and I watch it every season. In fact, probably later today, I'm probably going to watch the latest episode, because we normally watch it on Hulu. But anyways, that's besides the point. Now, it's a very good show. I think it has very good story arcs. I think they do a good job. If you're not familiar with the show, it's basically a lot of fairy tales get mixed together. As an example, Rumpelstiltskin, his father is Peter Pan. And he also doubles as the Beast from Beauty and the Beast. So, that kind of gives you an idea of what the premise of the show is. I mean, you got Prince Charming and Snow White intermingling with Pinocchio and Jiminy Cricket, literally. Like, that's not me just generalizing. That is what happens in the show. But anyways, in the show, Captain Hook, he's actually a good guy. That's the other thing. A lot of times they switch things around, and it's actually quite creative how they do it, because Captain Hook is a good guy, and Peter Pan is probably one of the most evilest characters I've seen in any show or movie. He's just pure evil in Once Upon a Time. But anyways, Captain Hook and the Wicked Witch of the West from Wizard of Oz, they have a daughter. Or wait, no, sorry, I got it mixed up. No, the Wicked Witch of the West from Wizard of Oz and Robin Hood have a daughter. Robin Hood is still good. Wicked Witch started the show off as evil and became good later on. But anyways, they have a daughter. And their daughter, the daughter's name is Robin Hood as well. Because, Robin is a name that can be used for either male or female. But their daughter is a lesbian. Now, I don't have a problem with Robin Hood's daughter being lesbian, because Robin Hood's daughter is a character that was made for the show. It's an original character. So I don't have a problem with that. But where I do have a problem is that her girlfriend is Alice from Alice in Wonderland. Alice from Alice in Wonderland has never been a lesbian. She wasn't created to be lesbian in the stories of Alice in Wonderland. And that's where I have a problem, is where you're going to go and take a existing character and you're going to completely change them. Now, granted, in this show, I guess you can make the argument that they take creative liberties with a lot of the characters. Like I mentioned, Peter Pan, he's evil. But here's the thing. With the whole thing with Peter Pan being evil, it actually made sense the way they did it. And it was very creative. Whereas with Alice, it seems like they just made her lesbian just to make it, just to do some virtual signaling. Just to say, hey, we're progressive. We're giving the LGBTQ representation in our show. And it's really just pandering. They also did it with Hispanics. They made Cinderella a Puerto Rican, which made no sense. Especially being that in a previous season, they already had Cinderella and she was blonde with blue eyes like she has traditionally been. So it's really just, I think it's ridiculous, because there was no need for them to make Cinderella Hispanic. It doesn't add to the story like how Peter Pan being evil was. Because they basically took that Peter Pan abandoned his son, Rumpelstiltskin, which is how he became evil because of his abandonment issues, his daddy issues, because Peter Pan abandoned him so that he can live as a boy forever in Neverland. Because Peter Pan was an adult and he was able to, I forget how they did it, that was in an earlier season, but he was able to become a boy again and stay a boy being on Neverland, because anybody who knows Peter Pan knows that in Neverland you don't age. So it was an abandonment thing, and Peter Pan, he, due to his selfishness, it just kind of festered in him and he started doing more and more evil things. He would send his shadow out to kidnap children, and that's how they became Lost Boys. Things like that. They just kind of taken the story and they twisted it and it made it interesting. Whereas Alice, first off, Alice never needed a love interest to be interesting. It was her adventures that made her interesting. So there really is no need to give her a love interest at all. But they did, and they made her a lesbian. It just made no sense. Same thing with Cinderella. You already had a Cinderella, but you decided to go ahead and change her to a Hispanic to what? Try to get more Hispanics on board with the show. I was already watching it, and I'm half Puerto Rican. It's just ridiculous. And this is something that it could very well infiltrate the MCU, because it's owned by Disney, and Once Upon a Time airs on ABC, who is also owned by Disney. In fact, most of the fictional characters on Once Upon a Time are based off of either Disney properties or properties that Disney has made movies on. You know, Cinderella is technically not a Disney property. That's a pre-existing story that Disney decided to make an animated film based on. But also, Disney properties such as Frozen. Elsa has been in Once Upon a Time. So it's a very Disney show that's not made directly by Disney, but is made by a company that is owned by Disney. So it's just very ridiculous how, you know, not everybody needs a representation in every movie. It's not progressive, it's retarded.
Undefeated.